Good morning, everyone. So, the 31st of January, the gate is about to close in Hobart, and in fact, I think technically it just closed because we were on Hobart time. I think I'd have to check the notice of race. So, sadly, Guy hasn't made it, but we all know the situation there now anyway. Big news today, a couple of things. Don't forget the big live with Tapio and his team trying to explain some of the issues associated with Asteria sinking. Very interesting conversation, some great graphics to explain the nature of the rebuild. You know, she was an amazing boat, and all the attention to detail to try and make sure that exactly what happened could never possibly happen, but it actually did. And hopefully that'll give people plenty of information to see that there is no concrete proof of what caused the sinking, but it was a pretty amazing event, obviously, because the boat was so good. But anyway, worth a look. And the next big news is Simon declaring himself into Chichester class, unable to steer downwind to get around Cape Horn or in that area. He tried everything, but it didn't work. And so now he's able to steer across the wind a lot easier and looking at options for ports in Chile. Initial target is Port of Mont, and we'll see how that evolves going forward. We're giving him weather forecasts. He's got the ability to use his satellite phone and GPS and so on now to keep everything running smoothly because he is on a recognised lee shore. So we'll be monitoring that closely as it goes forward. And then, of course, now Kirsten's in the hunt. Kirsten's leading the GGR. Abolish is coming along behind. Then Captain Goog and good old Ian Herbert Jones back there has so often looked at retiring from the GGR. He's now coming fourth, which is fantastic. And we've got some news going out about all of that later today, European time. So another newsletter press release going out, and that'll have some more stuff in there as well. Abolish is still relaxing a bit, but he's heading in the right direction. So the news for Guy at the moment, we'll start at the back end here, and the weather. And in fact, it's very interesting because you can't quite see it, but hidden here underneath the no-go zone is a nature of the way the weather is changing. You know, summer's moving over, you're getting these tight little low-pressure system storms that can get quite tricky. Sudden wind changes, sudden wind, increase in strength and so on. These are the ones you don't want to see. This is exactly the versions that we had in 2018, a smaller version, but you can see distinct changes in the weather happening right now. So time to get across to Cape Horn. So Guy's still doing it pretty well at the moment, making 111 miles in a day, doing 5 knots. This just rolled over to the 8 o'clock position, UTC, and reasonable breezes there, 25, 30 knot, gusting 35 higher, but this system's now coming over, and that's got its own shape in its own way, which is kind of interesting to watch. So it's going to be very hard to predict. We're giving him weather forecasts. We just sent him a series of updates, but there's so many variables with this one, it's going to be a bit hard to follow. But I'll just walk it through so you can see how it starts to fold over. So he's got this southwesterly airflow coming through right until tomorrow, and it starts to impact from tonight, midnight tonight. So in about sort of 14 hours or so, and it's blowing northwest, and then it's going to roll over. He'll be making tracks to the east with this. Then it's southwest. And then it starts to get really interesting shape, and this is where a few things happen here. It's very unpredictable to see what's going to happen here. This is the computer model here. I'll show you on windy in a minute as well. But you can see the wind then comes around to the south, which is going to change the sea state, and it's already predicted to be sort of 8-9 metres and so on. That'll keep him busy for a while. This is on the 1st, so we're in a day and a bit, coming into a day and a half. And then the winds increase. You can see it's going to the blue there. He'll actually be in that zone then. He'll actually be over here somewhere by that stage. So that in itself is going to make it hard to give him accurate forecast, because it can change so suddenly from like 10, 15 knots up into 40 knots or 50, gusting 60. So we do the best we can, and he'll be ready for it. He knows there's some stuff coming. And then assuming he's here at the end of his name, you can see it'll be all over pretty quick. So by the time, and it's going north rapidly, so he'll peel out the bottom of this with this southerly wind. He'll set a course to be comfortable in the waves, and I'm not sure where that'll end up, because he'll have two distinct wave patterns there. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's going up northeast at that stage. So that's through for the next couple of days for Guy. I'll just put you on windy here. This is his assumed position here in about 24 hours, a little bit further to the east. And so that's today's weather right now, as you can see it. And then if we, so if I push this through till tomorrow, you'll see it starting to come. It'll catch up with him. This is actually gusts. I'll go back to wind. So this is the wind forecast. So you'll be forecasting 32 knots, gusting a lot higher, obviously. And then you can see the shape start to change. So it's, you know, it's sort of a bit quiet if that's right where he is. It's sort of going up and around him, missing him, but eventually he'll get tagged at the bottom here. And that's when it changes. This is forecast wind, you know, up into 37, 40 knots now. So if we just quickly push that into gusts, you'll see what's happening. You know, you're going 52, there'll be 50s and 60s in there going through. And if we start to look at sea state, it's starting to get up 9 metres, which means you could be getting 12, you know, 13 metres or more during that period. So there's a you know, bit of a thing there. It'll just depend on how this actually shapes up and exactly where Guy will be. About this stage, it starts to go north, and it, you know, dissipates very quickly. He's sort of out of it, but then the sea state will stick around for a while because you get 20 knots there. But then you go back to the waves, and you still got, well, it's dropping quickly, but that's an interesting period as well. So it'll be you know, a bit of work for Guy coming through. He's ready for it. He knows it's coming, and we'll be watching closely as well. Technically speaking, just to remind you, you know, we monitor everything until he gets to the longitude of Hobart here, and at that point we sign him off. His team's all set to go, and we're already in the back, always in the background to give him a hand anyway. So yeah, Guy's got some fun in the next few days, and I'm quite sure as much as he's hating it, he's loving it. It's the GGR. So good luck, Guy. And now coming back down to our guys down here, as we predicted. In fact, Ian's doing okay. We sent him messages, by the way. The whole fleet knows that now Simon has declared Chichester, and they'll understand that there's 4 GGR entrants racing for the Saab d'Olonne, and we've got 3 Chichester entrants at the moment. So Ian's doing 4.5 knots, 73 miles in the day, not a big one, but at least he's in the right direction now. And Jeremy is doing 4.2. Interesting the way he's facing. Oh, yeah, I got the right weather. That's interesting. He must have just tacked over or something, 4.2, because he's going dead to wind, and it's going to be northerly there. But anyway, that's what it says. So let's assume that's correct right now. No, that's not correct, because he's got 213 nautical mile a day. He hasn't done that either. There's something funny going on there. I don't trust that one. I think he'd be facing the other way. Nonetheless, let's look at their weather. A little glitch there by the look. We come forward a day, and this northerly is going to build. That'll give them plenty to think about. Ian will be into it by then, but I dare I say they'll just run off on Port Tack here. I can't imagine that they're going to go too far south, but they won't be able to make the bounties there at the moment. So they'll have some good sailing, but be challenged on their course. And then it gets a bit fluffy again. This is okay. They'll reach across there. So probably pretty much back on track within 48 hours. So not too bad anyway. Okay, so I'm going to come back here now, and we'll Captain Goog over here. So yeah, just rocketing north. He's happy with what's going on, just riding that breeze, making good time, 98 nautical mile a day, doing 7.1 knots, and he'll be liking that. He's got no, let's have a look at the clouds to see what he's after. Water, but I don't think there'll be any there. No blues in that lot. I think you can all see that there. There's no real blue, but he's got overcast. And waves, okay, we'll just see what he's got. Yeah, 5 metres, 4 to 5s, typical Southern Ocean stuff. And he's going to be looking pretty good with the weather. He'll keep sailing well. So by tomorrow, on the 1st, yep, nice breeze. He'll probably head more to the east with that one. And then next day, same again. He'll be more the east. He'll be enjoying it. So Goog's on a roll. Nothing to hold him up. Plenty of boat speed, and he's happy. So come back again now. Okay, so we'll watch that little one there. We're monitoring that. So for now, Abolish is comfortable. You know the situation. He's still resting up, but at least he's on a proper course now. And he's got some work to do on the boat when he's ready. We're not sure when he's back on track. It could still be another day or two, just taking it easy. Kirsten's going for it, 6.7. She now knows that she's in the lead of the GGR, which will give her a big boost. And the reality is, I think that she knows she's now got to get a break on Abolish. I think she might know what's going on with Abolish. I think they're talking to each other on the chat session or through Peter in New Zealand. And so she was having trouble, keeping up with Abolish here. So Abolish will give her a run for the money in the Atlantic. There's no question. And she needs to make ground now because this is where she should shine. So I'm sure she's focused and going for it. No reports of any issues with the boat, and she's healthy. So it's going to be fun to watch that. It's a game changer in total. So and we'll look at Simon's weather. We've given him weather yesterday. He knows this is coming. We advised him on that. It's going to pick up to about 35s. This is where it gets tricky as well because, as you say, it's easier to keep the boat going sheet to tiller or without steering when the weather's on the beam, but you can only do that to the extent that the wind's not too strong. If it's too strong, the boat's got to bear away. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting knockdowns again and so on. So sea state that Simon's in now, it's a good 5 metres there, and they'll be nicely spaced apart and things like that, but he is taking it on the beam. And small stays allowed and doing whatever it takes to keep steering in that direction. And he's conceded he's going to be doing more hand steering. The boat's okay, no work needed sort of thing, urgently. So the number of hours he can spend on the helm will vary, but he'll give it a good shot to keep going. From the coast, he's about 700 miles, and they just pick a random spot there, or 650 miles from the coast there, and the wind will dictate where he goes, but Port of Mont is where he'd prefer to go right now, and that'll take shape as we go forward. We're obviously monitoring everything very closely and working with him on that to make sure all is well. So I'll get rid of that. Actually I could have left that because let's just have a quick peek for Kirsten. Here to here, she's now 18, 19, near enough to 2,000 miles from Cape Horn. So in the next couple of weeks, that will evolve, and it'll be fun to watch. So she'll be happy to get around, but anything can happen. This is what we keep saying. It's still 9,000 miles to the finish, and let's just see what the weather's doing for these guys overall. So here's 24 hours ahead. This front goes over very quickly for Simon, and it settles down. He'll like that. And for Abolish and Kirsten, it's picking up. We'll monitor that. We might this front coming through still looks okay. It's not extreme at the moment, and they're well able to cope. But it's all in the right direction, so they'll be both making good speeds for that. And we go in another day ahead into the second. Starts to back off a bit, but still consistent. Kirsten will be around the corner and dipping down in this nor'wester. She'll just ride that behind, and Abolish will be the same. So progress will be pretty cool. February the 3rd, again, similar stuff. No big storms there. This is all pretty benign for this part of the world. We'll just keep pushing it through and see what happens. Okay, so we watch that when it's coming, but they'll both be under that at this stage. They'll be down here, and it depends what direction that one's going to go. Where it heads to, it's heading over towards Simon, so that might make some wind there. This on the 5th, so Simon could be over here by then, but we'll wait and see. So all looks pretty reasonable there. Happy